Aloha, Megan Amigo.
We're finally doing this.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to come on and
Yeah,
basically talk about what you're doing, what we're doing, and how we might be able to support each other.
absolutely. Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
For sure.
So, um, yeah, I guess we can kind of dive into what Zensual movement is and the workshop that's coming up soon.
Cool. When is your workshop and where is it at?
So the workshop is in Ohio and it's June 1st at Flow Yoga. It's a lovely yoga studio that my friend Natalie owns. And it's going to be 6:30 and on a Friday. And it's just going to be basically the culmination of my work for 2 years in supporting women in tapping into their sensuality and their femininity and just feeling free to move in their body in ways that feel organic and natural to them and not in a way that society says we have to move in order to be attractive or be sexy, but to move in ways that is nourishing, that is life-giving, that is supportive, and most importantly to create a sisterhood where women feel encouraged by other women and they don't feel judged or they don't feel shame to be in their fullness. And that's what I really am up to creating. It's just a space that is safe for women to see their sister celebrating her sensuality and breaking through her blocks and being like, yes, like she's doing it and I can do it too. So I'm super excited, and there's so much in the workshop. It's like big part of it is experiential, and then there's journaling exercises, and there's yoga and sensual movement because I'm also a yoga teacher. And then there's going to be just sensuality arts from different cultures, belly dancing, and like really yummy, juicy stuff. So
That's awesome. So June 1st, that's funny. That's my birthday. Is it called Alpha Yoga? That's the studio?
L flow, it stands for love flow.
L flow, love. Okay, awesome. It's so
Yeah,
funny. We must be tapped into some sort of similar resonance or some morphic resonance going on here because last
probably.
night I was actually on the deck. We're staying up in the Santa Cruz Redwoods getting ready for our next event that starts
Yes.
tomorrow actually.
Yeah,
And
they told me about that.
I was just doing yoga. I was probably doing the most intuitive yoga flow I've ever done. And
Mm,
a lot of it was a lot of moaning and
okay.
groaning and a
Yeah,
lot of audio, a lot of audible.
just
And I
like
was actually
sounding.
thinking, yeah, I was actually thinking like, why is there not like a yoga class that I've never been to a yoga class that really encourages people to start like kind of scream through it or yell or whatever comes up. So it's
Absolutely.
like I'm
Yeah,
almost you're doing like this. It's just funny that we're talking about this, and
yeah,
I was doing that last night without. It's like this is you would have thought we had this conversation beforehand. So now this is
right. And
kind of an
that's
affirmation for me to really step into playing around with that idea of different types of like I think there's as many types of yoga as there's many types of people on
for
earth.
sure.
So thank you for
Well, I love
individualizing
that
your
you,
process.
yeah, and thank you for sharing that. I love that you shared that because that really reminds me of somatic psychology, of how there's so much stored within our body, and yoga kind of releases that. But the space of sensual movement, I think, even beyond outside of the context of what I'm creating for women, just in general, for men and women to be able to feel free to move their body and to do what comes natural, like you're talking about, sounding like maybe that's something that needed to be released for you. Maybe there's something, really deep there that you can like, oh, maybe that is kind of reflecting how you can use your voice more, even when it seems like it's out of place. And just like be free and be all of you, even if it doesn't fit the context of what yoga is, but recognizing that yoga is not just bodily movements or postures. Like I just made a post the other day about how relationship is the greatest yoga. Like yoga, I think, extends beyond just the physical practice. And you're I think doing yoga of the voice, yoga of sound, yoga of like speaking your truth, however that looks.
Awesome. Yeah, that's funny. Good timing. Good timing. Is this your first like
Yeah.
official class? And is it only for women? That was my other question.
Yeah, so this one is just for women, and this one is going to be kind of kicking it off. I just made the introductory video to just kind of show people what my work is about, and it was so amazing to actually make that. It took about 6 months for me to get the courage to actually post it, and I was editing it for so long. And my fiance Adam, he was a cinematographer, and he's so brilliant and so gifted. And so yeah, that's just like showing kind of an inside look at what it feels like to be a sensual woman. And it's bigger than me. It's like I'm just inviting a possibility for all women, because we all have access to this, of like loving who we are, feeling safe in our body, and feeling free to move, letting go of what, other people think, judgment, self-criticism, and like just embracing that. And after this workshop in Ohio, I may have one more, but I'll be moving to Colorado July 1st, and then bringing these workshops to Colorado and to women. And eventually my goal is to, bring it worldwide, and to just have this movement just extend beyond and continue, to see the positive ripples, because I think it will benefit relationships. Like, I think you can attest to this, that when a woman is alive to her sensuality, like that radiance is nourishing to a man. And it's like exciting, and I think it fills the relationship with so much joy. And children, when they interact with a woman who loves herself and feels, fulfilled, and that, she enjoys the feeling of touching her skin, and like she savors the moment, children respond so well to that. So I think that it's so beneficial on so many different levels.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you're doing that and proud of you, because I've been doing retreats on self-acceptance through self-expression for about a decade now, and it's
Yeah.
amazing how many, especially young women, are like afraid of their own body, or were afraid of their own body. Like these type of
Right.
movements that you're doing, and I think what we're doing, getting people to feature their flaws, to find out their flaws are
Yes.
actually their features. Like the Marilyn Monroe, I always love using that example of, like, a lot of people have a mole or a birthmark or a beauty mark or whatever they want
I
to
have a
identify
little
it with,
birthmark on my
and
nose.
they can hide it. They might spend so much time hiding and how heavy that is. Whereas when someone highlights it, like Marilyn Monroe highlights the mole on her face, all of a sudden that becomes the new symbol for beauty. And it's
Yeah.
funny that I'm bringing up Marilyn Monroe. Talking about morphic resonance, I'm pretty sure her birthday is June 1st as well.
That's pretty
I'm
cool.
not
And
sure if someone could quote me on that.
I
I
love that.
remember. Yeah. So thank you
She's
for
a
like getting people
huge,
to realize, like, these bodies, regardless of what others think they look like, and regardless of what one might think it looks like themselves when they look in the mirror, it's freaking beautiful, and it deserves to be showed off, and it deserves to see what
absolutely.
we can do with it. We want to tap into the highest abilities of movement, because
Yeah,
yes, it carries over to everything. How we move is probably indicative of how we do everything. So thank
absolutely.
you for
Yeah.
bringing more
Yeah.
awareness to this.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. And thank you for sharing that. Marilyn Monroe was so amazing. She's a huge inspiration to me. And I think that's a beautiful point of just featuring our flaws, because if we think we have a flaw and other people are looking at it and making judgmental stories, they're going to be looking regardless. So we may as well be like, yeah, I have this flaw and I love it. So it's like the projections that someone will be putting upon you, like it just, they dissolve. Like it doesn't have weight. It doesn't matter. So I think that's a great way to just embrace who you are,
Oh,
because whether we acknowledge it or not, it's there. Like the mole is there, so we might as well love it.
yeah, and one exercise in particular is coming to mind that I've done over the years. Usually at the end of the retreat is like getting a big circle going, and one person stands in the middle, and everyone kind of is brutally honest in a fun way, a fun, loving way of saying what's working
Yeah,
for you and what's not working for you. And what
right.
happens a
Feedback
lot of
is
the
so
time is
powerful.
people, half the group will say the same thing that half the group thinks is working for them, the other half think it's not working for them,
Hmm.
which kind of shows the crapshoot of trying to live up to other people's expectations, and what a
It doesn't
delusional
work.
idea that may be. So anything to break the addiction to approval and let authenticity arise, I'm on that team. So thank you for doing
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I mean, that's such a powerful question to ask ourselves, like, whose life are we living? Who are we living for? And if we're living just to fulfill someone's expectation of what's acceptable or what we should be, it's like, to me, that's such an empty life. And yeah, you're right that if we change ourselves to fit 50% of the population's desire, the other 50% is going to be disappointed. So it's like, why not just tune into what's true, what's raw, what's free? And then you being that will be a beacon for other people to step into their truth, and you'll find your tribe. You'll resonate with each other. And I think genuine connection is so much more powerful than ever bending ourselves and contorting ourselves to be what other people want, because it's like that's just lifeless, and it doesn't go anywhere. So
Yeah, it's like, it reminds me
yeah,
of this idea that when someone realizes all the unconscious mask they may be wearing, then when they bring awareness to that, I think growth takes place in three stages, like awareness, acceptance, and action. So when someone
mm,
becomes aware that they might be wearing different masks, whether they're at church or at their family or at yoga or whatever it is, that's a heavy way to live. Where when someone finds the freedom that they can wear whatever mask they want to, whenever they want to, wherever you're at, that's like
yeah,
fun. I think that's why people are
it
so
is
inspired
fun.
by actors, by improv, by stand-up comedians, because they realize that everything is spiritual and we're always acting, so we might as well
Yeah.
make the most of the stage of life that we find ourselves on.
That's so beautiful. And it's true, so true that like we have the power to be anything in any moment that we want. Like I can do this and like it doesn't even matter, you know, and I can just choose. And that's something I love to do. Like if I'm ever feeling sad or I'm feeling frustrated or something, I remind myself, wait a second, I have the power to just get up and skip around the room. Like I literally can do that. And I think that's
Hmm.
when I step beyond my emotions and don't allow them to control me, but I essentially like extract whatever lessons or gems I need to get from my emotions, and then I create something that's more empowering and better and beautiful. So I love that of like, yeah, we are creating, you know, the movie of our lives essentially. And it's amazing to be like in a way our expanded self is directing it based on our perspective of things, but then our innermost self is the star, you know? And like we can also support other people in shining, and there are many stars in the movie. And I think like in the movie of life, like we all get to be stars. Like that's just the truth of it. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think the best way that I can help the world is by making the most of what I have, like being the best version of
absolutely.
myself that I can be. And I
Yeah.
love just the awareness of movement that it reminds me of the smiling idea. Like, yes, someone smiles when they're happy, but I can smile and create happiness in my body.
You
So
can, because our
the same
mind
thing with
thinks we're actually
postures.
happy. Yeah,
Yeah,
mhm,
yeah,
yeah,
movement. That's so
for sure.
I'm stoked that you're getting more people to wake up to that reality
Mm, thank
of
you
the
so much.
movement. Yeah.
Yes, movement is medicine. Movement is wisdom, and I think like we'll really discover our truth through movement because we can release so much stored trauma, so much stored energy, but we can also tap into parts of ourselves that we suppress. Like if we notice we have tension, you know, in our upper back, like that can be a deep symbol for something deeper. Or if we have suppression, you know, moving our hips or moving our chest, like that as well. And for me, part of why I created Sensual Movement had a lot to do with in 2013 when I had an experience of being sexually molested. And that part of myself, my hips, felt so unsafe to move. Like I didn't even want to move at all. But I had done so much like inner work and spiritual psychology and study that I realized, okay, I have to do this. I have to move my hips. So every single day, I made a post about this when I was sharing my Zensual movement video. Every day I would invite like just a small movement, micro movement. And I would say, you know, things like, it's okay, it is safe to move. And then I'd expand that practice to, you know, doing yoga and, you know, the cat cow posture, but like moving and flowing and not allowing myself to just stay rigid or stuck. And that was so nourishing. That was so healing. And I finally felt this feeling of like where all of my cells would just tingle and I would feel the sensation of like pure release. And the only thing I can equate it to is just like feeling the presence of God in my body and like spirit and love and everything. And it's just amazing. And so that's why I really want women to recognize that sensuality, or what I call sensuality, because I'm inviting that it's like a spiritual journey of, you know, sensuality and femininity, that that can be your access to the divine, that can be your access to healing, and that can be your access to processing your emotions, to handling pain, to, you know, fixing relationship challenges, to having the body you've always wanted, or to create sisterhood, let go of jealousy, competition. Because I think, you know, for instance, whenever we feel jealous of someone, if we can just really look and be like, how are they giving me a gift? Like they're giving me a gift to see a new potential that I actually want to be living, that I either just think I can't be living or that I'm afraid or ashamed to actually be living. So like that's what I want to invite people into, is like, you know, feeling gratitude and supporting other people whenever we feel jealousy. That can just be a little reminder of like, oh, this is the way I want to be living. And
Yeah,
then
I
just
think it's a
celebrate.
great point. Like jealousy to me is just the other side of the coin of inspiration, really. Someone,
Yes, yes,
yes, you just kind of flip it. Like whatever the sensations and it brings up in one's body that jealousy is, I think it's
right.
very tied to just flipping your perspective to realize, like, oh, wait a minute, I don't need to compare. Like, I don't need to compare myself to this person. I can be inspired that they're doing the best they can, and I'm going to step it up. And that's like
Yes.
why I think at the core I do believe competition is cooperation. And I think I just look at biology in the sense that I guess at one point in my core, in my beginning of beings, I was basically a sperm. And there was probably millions and millions of sperm that were in that one injection. And I would trust that all those sperm were trying to be the best they could be. I trust one sperm wasn't holding itself back so the other sperm could feel included. But no, we're here
Right.
all, like one ship rises all tides. So
Sure.
this is important for us to be the best we can be, move the best we can be, and I think it's starting with movement is a beautiful realization. Like I you know, you've seen my daughter online, watching her
I
move,
love
how
Divina.
much it
She's
mimics
like
like
so
she's in a constant yoga class. She's in a literally in a, she's continuously in a yoga class, and I'm watching her. I'm like I'm learning a lot about my posture and how I can move and what's possible with my body by
yes.
just watching like watching a human in its raw form that's not trying to act like other people.
Oh my gosh. And I want to thank you so much for what you're doing of sharing truly conscious parenting, of really honoring Davina. Like, I could get emotional right now. Like, it's such a gift. The way you love her, the way you like revere her, and you look at her as this like unexplored terrain. And that is so amazing. And like, I think that's what every daughter, every person wants to experience is that they're explored, that like they matter. And like, what an honor that you're giving her this gift of knowing that she matters and you're encouraging her to use her voice. You're encouraging her to be curious. And like, I think it's amazing you're including her on all your conscious consultations or quantum consultations. Like, you're expanding her awareness of so many different things at such a young age. Like, that is amazing. So truly, thank you for showing that possibility for parents to really look at their children as already divine, already whole, already perfect, and having something to teach us and using it as, a spiritual practice and just a journey of humbling ourselves again and again to be like, wow, this human has so much to teach me.
Oh yeah, I look at her as like such a master in the sense that she's so unbiased by society, and like I
Yes.
can
Yeah.
unlearn. And she's like such a great teacher for me to unlearn any type of cultural conditioning and tapping into
Yeah.
my true essence. And on the note of parenting, especially, I receive your affirmations about like the father daughter connection, and on this like maybe the insecurity around women moving their hips and all that crazy cultural conditioning that we're letting go of now. Thank
Yeah.
God. Um, I do think that when a daughter feels loved by their father, and maybe some parents are watching or it's important for them to hear this, and it's important for myself to hear me say this, is like they'll be less likely to seek love in misguided places when they get that
It's
love
so
from
true.
like their masculine, grounded father.
It's
That
so
type of
true.
love, I think, is so supportive to them, so that when they are ready to find a partner, they're
Yes.
doing it in the most aligned way rather than just trying to seek something they've been
Oh my
missing for a long
gosh.
time. So, yeah, thanks for
Daniel,
bringing that up.
thank you. That is amazing. And I think especially coming from a man who also is a father, that is beyond powerful and like such a gift. And I think you're absolutely right that so many women look to men that perhaps are not supportive of them, that they either leave or they don't want to be in the relationship or they're treating them poorly. And it has a lot to do with they have this thought that that's what they're worthy of because that's how they were treated, or either their father was absent or something, or it's not always that case, but a lot of times it is. And I think just you demonstrating how the position of father is sometimes not not viewed as important as the mother, but like the father's experience is so sacred. And if he can give that love and acknowledgement and that presence to his daughter and say, you are enough, you are worthy, you deserve to be loved, you deserve to be treated with respect. And you're demonstrating to your daughter just by, the way I see you looking into her eyes so deeply, like there's more to her. And I think every person wants to feel that. And if they feel received in that way, they're not going to search it out through people who are unable to actually give that to them. But you being that reflection for her is going to teach her how she can do that for herself. So she will never have to, try to search for another man to like give her that validation because she sees that just when she looks in your eyes. So it's such a
Yeah.
gift that you're giving to her.
Well, thank you for recognizing it, and just that. Thank you for bringing more awareness to this. And where in Colorado? Before we wrap this up, where did you say where in
Colorado
Colorado?
Springs is where we'll be
Nice,
moving. It's
nice.
so beautiful. It's so magical there. And like I told you, we just got a new home and a solar
Oh,
panels and a garden.
nice.
Like,
There's so many good things out there. There's so many good springs, and there's that Garden of the Gods, and so much
yes,
good
I just went there.
altitude. It's
Yeah.
like
Oh my
such a good
gosh.
place.
And we
So,
actually were hiking up there and there was an area where it said, do not enter. Well, we entered. It was
yeah, well,
amazing.
evolution and breaking rules go hand in hand. It's just breaking them in the right way. So,
I think so too. And I honestly feel like, and yes, I think there are a lot of places in nature where like people have it's dangerous, right? And so we need to be
oh yeah,
mindful. But also at the same time, I feel like nature is a part of us and it shouldn't be limited and like we are a part of this earth, so we deserve to roam it and explore it and love it. And
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, and we are nature. So keep
yes,
it wild. Thank you for
yes,
getting
keep it
people to
wild. I love
rewild
that. That's
their
been a
inner child.
hashtag of this video. Hashtag keep it wild.
Yeah, set the
Sensual
truth
movement.
free.
So tell me before we head off, just a little bit about your workshop that you're putting on.
Yeah, it's funny. Is we still have space. It's starting tomorrow. It's at this place called Multiversity, which is like if anyone's ever heard of Esalen Institute, it's kind of a newer version, a little easier to access up in the Santa Cruz Redwoods. And we're basically making a play on school. So I'll be the professor of breaking normal. The Mystic Misfits will be kind of the professors of different type of movement exercises. Actually, we're doing a lot of
Mm,
breath work, a lot of movement work, a lot of them
I love that.
combined. And yeah, just getting, I think one of the main things is going to get everyone at the event to see life from the child's perspective. And if someone can show me something more heavenly than that, then I'm interested.
Oh my gosh. How much has Divina influenced that in you?
Oh, so much. This will be her third event. She was in the womb for our event in Costa Rica. Oh, this will be a fourth one because then it came Montana, Maui, and then this one. She's just so pure and so playful, and it's, you're right, like looking into her eyes of her universe really reveals that there's so much more than I physically even can see. And I think to
Yes,
see that depth and to be reminded of the truth of
yes,
all that we're all children, that we're all, no matter
yes,
how adult we think we are, we can see life as it's happening for the first time, because the reality is nothing happens twice,
it is.
and
Yeah,
we're in a constant state of change always. So to
absolutely.
enjoy, have that realization and seeing life as a new day every day, and that my past doesn't have to dictate my future, and that we're always having a clean slate. She reminds me of that every day. And every blueberry I eat, it's different than the other blueberry. Like she started eating blueberries yesterday. Blew my
Yes,
mind. She was on a blue. She ate her weight in blueberries. So it's just like
I
fun to
love
see her
that.
see all these things for the first time, and remind me I'm seeing everything for the first time too.
Right. Right, because that's when complacency sets in when we think like, oh yeah, this blueberry is the same. And that's where I think like words can kind of be limiting. Like, for instance, just the word tree. If we teach our children that this is a tree, they'll never have an intimate relationship with it. But if we say, you know, what it does and how, it's creating oxygen and like it can heal itself and like all the different complexities of it, and they get to just experience it as an ever expanding thing, then I think our eyes open up, and that's where we have magic and wonder and joy and vibrancy. But when we kind of invite the perspective that, yeah, I know how things are, I know exactly how it's always going to be. And I think that's the same in relationships. That's what creates complacency, that when we're in a relationship and we think, oh, yeah, I'm going to interact with the same person tomorrow that I was yesterday. Well, no, that's not the truth. And like what I've discovered in partnership is that when we can choose every single day to view our partner as new, unexplored terrain, and like, what can I discover about them today? And I think that's such a gift because we would also want that ourselves. So having the eyes of children, I think, is a place of brilliance to take in life from, because how are they
Yeah.
experiencing this world? There's no like filtration, there's no beliefs, there's no conditionings, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's experience. And like when there's just experience, holy, like, I don't cuss, I say holy garbanzo beans.
I like
So
this one.
holy garbanzo beans, it's amazing. Sometimes I
Yeah.
cuss, but, whatever.
Yeah, you're really tapping into like the profoundness of
Yeah.
of
Ooh.
language. Actually, languaging is basically fragmenting reality, which it reminds me of the metaphor of Humpty Dumpty. At least how I experience Humpty Dumpty. It is that, yes, sometimes we might have to break the world into many categories to see the wholeness of it, to remind us of the wholeness of it. Like maybe the more we expand our English vocabulary and learn about each fragment of reality, then we see the
Yeah.
wholeness of each fragment, and then we end with Om. We're left with Om.
I love
But
that. That's really beautiful. And that reminds me of the Chinese language. I lived in China for a year and I speak a little bit of Mandarin. Ni hao. But
wow.
in their language, one word, how I was taught, underneath it is like, if you can imagine it, like a pyramid of all these different meanings. And so one symbol holds within it so much richness. And I feel like in our culture, words have almost become just lessened to just be one thing and like to be the cap of something. But what I love how Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about how words are just pointers to a deeper truth. if we can use words to guide us to the unnameable, to the unending, to the infinite, to the ever expansive, then I feel like that's when we'll actually tap into what words are supposed to be. Because I don't think words are supposed to be the period or the ending to our discovery and our exploration, but I feel like words are meant to bring us closer together so that we can find common ground, we can have commonality. And I love Rumi how he says, out beyond the field of right and wrong, or out beyond the ideas of right and wrong, there's a field. I'll meet you there. And I think that's words, like out beyond my perspective and your perspective, what's there. And that's just awareness, that's just being. And we can all be together and share that. And I feel like we access that state also through movement. And that's what I'm creating in this workshop, that when we're all moving together in a kind of a primal way and healing any past pain or trauma and just celebrating each other and finding that freedom, like we tap into that unnameable, that ever-present awareness that to me I identify as love. And I feel like that's what we all have access to, and that's what really connects us all. Because if you think, what is the one thing that every single person on this earth will experience? It's love, regardless of religion, regardless of background. And like, to me, what I come again and again to is like, that's truth. Love is truth.
Yeah, it's a great paradox. I love it. I love the idea of love, and then realizing that love is a word too, and then realizing what love means to me. There's probably 8 billion other meanings of that, and at the same time, how profoundly important words are in the sense that they can, in my opinion, literally program our reality. I've been building the Breaking Normal app has reminded me of that. Like, it's literally code that creates the reality of this app, and then it reminds me of like, wow, I'm literally writing the script to the movie of my life by the words that I'm choosing to speak, rather than just unconsciously regurgitating program.
Exactly.
So
you're not creating by default.
Myself continuously.
Yes, you're intentionally creating because you can. Like, I think that's the beauty. You can. And you realized you have the power to do so, but I'm sure it wasn't easy. Like, I'm sure you had to break through some stuff and realize that you actually could create the life that you wanted. Realize that you could stretch the parameters of what society deems as acceptable. You could create the life of your dreams. Like, you could have everything you wanted. And thank you for inviting that possibility. Thank you for demonstrating that to people and being your wild, radical, authentic self. Like, I love it. And, just figuring out that new way to calm Divina of oming to her. Like, that is so beautiful. And so many people would think like, oh, maybe that's weird or that won't work. But like, if they give it a try, it's a very healing frequency. It's a very healing sound.
Oh man, I just met at this coffee shop I was just at. I actually met a girl the other day that saw my video. She owned through her birth, and I think that's like one of the best ways to turn pain, like kind of blur the lines of pain and pleasure, is to sound while someone's experiencing something painful, whether it's a cold or it's a birthing or it's an injury.
Yes.
There is much healing to be said by farting for freedom, basically farting for freedom, in the sense that when someone needs to fart, it's amazing that our bodies have this ability to let out the right amount of gas so we can be in balance. And rather than holding that shit in, then let your body do what it needs to do, regardless of what it smells like or what it sounds like. And there's so much freedom in that. And that's a metaphor for everything. You stub your toe screaming out. That there's something that can make that stub toe actually feel like an endorphin rush if you allow your body to react the way it wants to react.
Yes.
And I can. We could and I can and I am.
I love that.
So are you, and thank you.
Oh my gosh. Recently I got a 2nd-degree burn on my wrist, 2 gallons of boiling hot water poured on me. And I screamed so much and I yelled the F word and it hurt. But I was also so present to, wow, I'm alive. I'm experiencing a sensation. And so when I went to the hospital, I started to, just gently touch my hand and say, it's going to be okay. And I was just looking at it and I was, filling myself with thoughts like, I'm healing, I'm well. And I was like taking deep breaths and I was allowing my mind to, instead of process the information as pain should not be here and then cause angst and frustration in my body, I interpret it as pain is a sensation. It is meant to be felt. And I kid you not, the pain started to dissolve. I didn't feel it as much. I didn't have any pain medication. The doctors were astounded. They're like, why aren't you taking pain medication? You should take medication. I'm like, you know what? It's not for me. I view pain as a rite of passage, and it's a way that I can grow my resolve and grow my strength and my willpower. And I think it deepens me as a human to be able to feel the full spectrum of what it means to be alive and not suppress, not shut down, and not numb myself just to not feel something that's uncomfortable. And it was profound, like just to have this pain and be like, yes, pain is here, and that's okay.
Yeah,
And I think like,
that's
I mean,
that's the
that's what I
difference
think.
between like uncomfortable and fun comfortable is like
Yeah,
feeling is healing. And shoot,
yeah.
thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. Speaking of feeling, I am probably feeling that it's time for me to cruise. Looking at
Yes.
so
Well, it was
I'm
such a
talking about
joy
amazing
chatting with
life there.
you.
Yes,
I'm so
thank you,
excited
Megan,
for what you're creating, and thank you for spending some time with me. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
for sure. To be continued, and let me know how that
Yeah.
first class goes on mine and Marilyn Monroe's birthday.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day and give love to Divina and Diana for me, okay?
Will do. Make it a great
All
day.
right.
Take care.
Bye.
Peace.